Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Tracy, and I'm back with another client graduation interview. And I love to do these interviews with certain clients of ours because it's really important to share with this community all of the possibilities that are available for each of you. And so today I'm going to go through an interview with one of our clients, Pamela, who just finished the Live Your Potential program. And I'm really excited for all of you to get to know her and to hear her perspective and to see what that can do to give you some insight into what might be possible for you. So, Pamela has become one of my favorite people on planet Earth. I feel so incredibly blessed to get to have just met her and be in such a beautiful collaboration with Pamela. Now, among many phenomenal things about Pamela, she is a CEO extraordinaire, and she's a real superwoman who has got this empire that she's running and growing and making an impact with her life in a lot of different ways. And so, Pamela, if you will just say a little bit about yourself and what you'd like us to know about you.
All right. Thank you for introducing me. I do feel like I am a CEO of a self-made company that we built from the ground up, and that brings me a lot of joy running that company. But it also brings me a great lifestyle.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate to sit on a board that helps Peruvian women
Mhm.
become educated. So that's another piece of my life that's very rewarding. I have two children that I absolutely adore, and that was the most amazing experience raising them. Favorite thing in my life. They're 23 and 24. What else can I tell you? I I recently have been dating someone that I find that experience to be the challenging piece. And that is one reason why I came to your program and wanted to just transform my own emotional security, my emotional sensitivities, and have used the insights and the program and the different conversations to help me grow in that area.
Okay. So Pamela, on that note, yes, because we know, you were very clear when we first met that a lot of different aspects of your life were just rocking and rolling, and you came to the program with so much success in your life, and yet, like so many of our clients, you want to live your full potential in any area that isn't at the top level that you wanted it to be. I know you're very committed to developing yourself in that area of your life. So, what would you say were some of the goals that you had for yourself when we first met and got going on this process?
So, one goal that I had for myself was to understand why I was reacting in certain situations the way that I was emotionally. And honestly, I felt like I was stuck with this behavior. I thought it was about my character. I thought that I was just not going to be able to have a
Mm.
successful, intimate relationship or, a great friendship with a man. And I believed all those things. Maybe not in the depths of my soul, but parts of me believed that. And so I came to the program thinking, I really need to look at this and understand how it is that I can have wonderful, loving relationships with parents and children and friends. I have amazing friends. And yet I was stuck always believing that maybe I just wasn't worthy enough to have a great, intimate relationship or a great relationship with a partner. So I wanted to challenge those beliefs. And in our first conversation that we had, um, your insights that, kind of struck a chord right away. And I knew you knew exactly what I was talking about, where
Right.
I had not met anyone else, even though I had gone to lots of programs or read lots of books. I just had never talked to someone who understood on a deep level what I was experiencing, why I was reacting and so sensitive to things. So, that first time I knew, in fact, you remember I was already committed to another program and I had to get out of that program because I just felt it when I spoke with you that day that I was going to get, well, I first was going to be understood, and then I believed that I could actually overturn or challenge these beliefs inside me. So that's why I joined, and yeah, it was a really good decision.
Pamela, thanks for sharing all of that and reminding me, right, of a really pivotal conversation. And what I really want to acknowledge about you, which is, again, can be so helpful to everyone because so many people I know want to make the kind of changes that you've been able to make. And because isn't it, I mean, isn't this the great mystery, right? So the holy grail of life is being able to have all the kinds of relationships that we want and to really live in them in a really beautiful way, without all the difficult emotional dynamics and relational dynamics that all of us can encounter. And so I know that you really speak for and represent so many other people who have success in all these areas of their life, but this is an area that they're not willing to settle for, um, not having that kind of success that they want there. And one of the things that was so phenomenal I want to share with everybody is that the thing, Pamela, is that you had such an openness. You had a desire and you had an openness for what you want. And sometimes people can have the desire, but they're not open to receive the very thing that they're asking for. And I just want to say how wonderful it was to connect with you and have that the desire plus the receptivity, that you were receiving what you wanted, and that set us off on a fabulous course together that I'm so grateful for. So, Pamela, is there anything that you would say to people who have been in that experience where, um, you were on that phone call with me and you were, as you said, you felt like I understood you, but was there anything else that you would say, and there may not be, was there anything else that you would say really helped you know that this was the path that you were meant to be on?
Well, I do remember on that call, we talked a bit about behaviors that are repeated so much and so often that they become patterned in your life. And they become so ingrained that you or me, I believed that that was just who I was, or
Right.
just, in fact, you're told that, you probably won't be ever
Right.
able to overturn this. And so in that call, you said to me, you guaranteed me 100% success on overturning anything I wanted to change. And in my case, it was these emotional responses to things that a man might say to me.
Yeah.
And I had never heard anyone say, in fact, I've always heard people say, "Oh, you're going to have to manage this the rest of your life. That's just who you are." Where when you said you could eradicate this behavior completely, I was like, "I'm in. I am," because I'm so tired of repeating the same pattern over and over and over again. And I have to say, I don't know that I believed you 100% that day. But after you go through the
Yeah.
program and you go through all the modules and the different things that you ask us to do, I do believe that there is nothing in your life that you can't face, challenge, and change if if you
Yeah.
want to do that, and live at a level that you want to be at, versus always feeling like, I just hate feeling like
Yeah.
this.
Pamela,
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked that question because again, your memory is so good. Um, yeah, and that's important, everyone, to have a different sense of is that if you're wanting something specific, but somebody's offering you something less than that, then that's something important to pay attention to. And I know uh, it can seem bold or provocative for somebody to say that this can be completely different. But if that's what you want it to be, then that's who you want to be hanging out with. If somebody believes that's possible, then that's the most important thing to making that happen for you. So thank you, Pamela. This is really, really good for everybody to hear. So, so Pamela, let's connect to a bit of even more of what the goals, again, the goals that you had for yourself. I know on one level were about changing the emotional responses. Was there anything else to add to that? And there may not be, but I just wanted to check in with that.
Well, I think what comes with being emotionally sensitive or emotionally reactive is, like I said, a pattern of behavior that if you just keep doing it over and over, your self esteem
Mm,
just, spirals down, and you start to believe that, you know, you're just not worthy of having what you want or having or creating what you want. So, on another deeper level, I wanted to change that belief that I'm not worthy or I'm
mm,
not good enough to have the best, partner and the best relationship that I can have. So, that was the core underneath all of my
mm,
what I would say outward behaviors, that I didn't want to respond negatively and I didn't want to create some kind of argument over things. I wanted to be able to emotionally stabilize and heal those wounds that I had over time built up.
mhm.
So that was my goal. And yeah, and then what happens once you're in is you find all kinds of things that you're like, oh my gosh, I thought this, and now I could think,
Yeah.
this, or I could choose this instead of being in,
Mm,
a patterned response. And yeah, it was eye opening. It really was. And now the cool thing about it now is as things come my way, whatever the challenges are, I immediately go to, I have a choice in this.
yeah.
I have the say, of how I am going to respond or how I'm going to manage this, whatever this is.
Mhm.
So that's the cool thing about it. I don't feel unworthy or helpless in
Wow.
my responses anymore.
Pamela, I love this. That part about what it was that you wanted to feel, you wanted to do differently, but what you wanted, how you wanted to feel differently, and how important that was for you to give that to yourself and really build that esteem and that worth to a really smoldering level.
Yeah.
So, so Pamela, as you were like, so let's say, a few weeks into the program, what are some things that were really, what were some kinds of results that you started to see or realizations or the type of progress that you started to notice?
So one big one for me was I have a a mathematical mind, so it's a very analytic mind, and it was my go-to place for everything. And I wasn't feeling in the beginning of the program like I was shifting that, but then I'll never forget the day where I felt deeply like my heart connected to my mind. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I just didn't experience that very often in my life because of how I was trained and all
Yeah.
the years I put in teaching mathematics. And I love mathematics. I see the beauty side
Me
of
too.
mathematics, but still an analytic process for me, where one day in your program, I think it was on one of the calls, and you and I had been working, and some other women were talking about some things, and I was relating and resonating. I felt like, oh my gosh, that is exactly how I feel when another woman was sharing her situation. And I realized I was able to connect up my heart and my mind and maybe experience, situations, relationships from that place instead of always being analytic and logical. So that was one result that was very
Mm.
meaningful to me.
Wow. On that note, before we continue looking at others, I just want to say, wow. Right? I can remember these very pivotal moments because they're so, you can just feel a tremendous shift in what I call an upgrade in a human being's being. And so, Pamela, what an amazing thing for you to experience and to share with people in this community who will be watching this, because this is the ultimate capacity, right? This is the ultimate human capacity to, instead of have ourselves like in compartmentalized aspects of ourselves, and where there can be sort of blockages, right, between all of ourself really working in this harmonious way at this very high level. And I really love to know that and hear that you started to feel this integration of yourself and begin to operate at a higher emotional capacity, which is really operating at a higher capacity in general, right?
Yes.
Using all of your resources as a person. Yeah.
Yeah, the other big one, so there's two, I think two really big learnings for me was the realization that I create every experience I have. And I'm 100% responsible for every
Yeah.
experience I have. So for me, there's no more room for blame or making sense of my own experience because someone else did something or
Right.
said something. I can see the connections now that if I'm experiencing something I don't like or don't want to, I have just created that.
So good.
No one else did. So it's a good process. It's a good, in my knowing that I'm my own artist, I get to decide, okay, I just created that. What new thought, what new way can I think about this to have a different experience?
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that was the other big one.
And Pamela, that is so. This is what we call living your full potential. This is what that's really about. I know that can seem vague for everyone at times, but that's what we're talking about. So, Pamela, and again, just a testament to you to go through the process and to really take everything at face value, right? And take it to heart and integrate it and begin to apply it in your life. Because I think, you're speaking to something that is the opposite of what we all learn about us not being enough, and there's not enough, and we're not doing enough. And um, it's a different thing to really truly connect into the powerful creator that you are and become so responsible for that uh, you really get intentional as a person. And then that when something's occurring, as you're saying, Pamela, that you have the capacity to collaborate in all things and create something new from that moment. And it's such an exceptional thing that you just shared, because we all have this way that the moment something's happening, we're in the past, we're trying to fix what was already created, but maybe it wasn't what we intended or what we're welcoming in. But the moment you recognize that, okay, what do I want to create from this next moment on, then you're just in an infinite field of possibilities, and it has a whole different quality and a lighter quality to it. And so, Pamela, with those two very important things, um, do you have, is there ways that you can share, are there things that you can share about how that begin to impact your day-to-day life?
Um, well, I guess before the program, I believed already that I was a collaborator in the universe and that I had a lot of power and that could construct whatever I wanted to. And I feel like I did that most of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've shared with you, I really do. I have a wonderful life. I'm so grateful. And yet I was experiencing this sort of very harmful thing in one aspect of my life. So now what I feel is that I can manifest whatever it is that I want to manifest. And I feel like I have a choice in it, even in that one area.
Yeah.
So for me, the program helped me sort of unlock a door that I had never been able to unlock the door and go in. And now, like I said, when I'm not exactly liking what's going on, I have a choice to say something different, change it, ask for time, get my quiet time or meditation time in order to come back. And I realize that I have a very powerful role in that collaboration and
Mm.
can shift things and make things happen and just be more in joy, I guess,
Yeah.
is what I was looking to do in that relationship. And so that was my everyday experience. Now is, how can I create the joy? How can I get back to the joy really
Right,
fast?
right, right, right.
So I think that's my day to day. My mind is always in that space of how do I create, how do I
Nice.
experience the joy.
Nice. Oh, that's wonderful. And is there anything that you notice, or there things that you notice, Pamela, about how other people, what the sort of the upgrades are, and how other people are responding to you, and because I know you were very clear about the areas you wanted to shift, but then you were also saying about things that it just sort of it impacts everything. So are there things that you noticed in other people and the way that they've been responding to you, or just the way things have been going that much more the way you want them to, or whatever comes to mind for you?
I guess I think by me being in my own power more often and in a much more stable way,
Mm.
um, I know that I can give more to people. I find that I give a lot more in terms of conversations, even in business or with my family, with George. I feel like by doing that, of course, then they respond in a much more open way, a more gentle way as
Mm.
well. I think
Generous, yeah.
gaining a trust that she's not going to overreact or she's not going to become so sensitive that she
Mm.
shuts everything down like I used to.
Right.
I think that helps, just grow experiences of more love in your life,
Yeah.
more kindness in your life. So I would say I'm an easier, what do I want to say, an easier person now to approach and talk about whatever and be available. So I've been
That's
enjoying that for
amazing.
sure.
Isn't that an amazing one? And Pamela, again, I know that so many people can relate to this. And this is that part at times, right? Where we're wanting something, we have so much desire, um, and as sensitive people, we really want to be the most connected. Our desire for connection, has this particular level to it. And how painful for any of us when we've wanted connection and then we are actually blocking that from happening, right? Without knowing that or attempting that, and really actually being in those struggles in a very real way. And so to become that much more capable of receiving, and again, collaborating in a way that doesn't have that edge to it or that painful frequency to it,
Right.
so that other people can give all that they want to give as well. It just really creates an opening, um, for things to operate in this really smooth and much way less stressful way. And so, Pamela, I haven't asked you this before. I don't know if we've had this kind of conversation before, but um, what would you say, if you were to kind of rank your stress level as a person from before and where you are now? How would you're the mathematician? What
I'm
kind of
not giving it a
statistic
number.
what kind of statistical way would you describe that? Would we rank it? Would we have a percentage? What would we have?
Well, I think I don't know how I would answer your question from that standpoint, but I would say this that I just got sick and tired of hearing very successful women and men make this argument that you don't need a man in your life. You don't
Mm,
have to have this love relationship in your life. You can, love yourself deeply and all of that. I mean, I was buying some of that for quite some time. So, and then what that caused in me is like, I knew internally I didn't really believe that. And it was creating a lot of stress in my life.
yeah.
I was feeling stressed constantly because I kept thinking, what's wrong with me? I need to be able to be self sufficient and provide for myself, and
Mm,
I'm all the love I need. Because that's what all current
I know, I
psychology
know.
tells you, right? So, by breaking through some of this behavioral stuff and the emotional, challenges that I had, it opens the door to the love you really
Yeah,
want, which is a partnership, in my case with a man, but,
yeah.
this would be for children, parents, for anyone that you just bring more love into your life. And so the stress level naturally goes down because you're experiencing more love, more joy, more peacefulness
Mm,
as a result.
wow.
So I don't know how to give it a number or a stat here. In fact, this
Well,
is a good sign that my heart's talking rather than
yay. Okay, good.
my head.
Well, again, Pamela, that may be one of the greatest answers I've heard in my entire life, honestly. I love that it isn't mathematical, but I love that we always have fun in whatever we're doing together. So, this is such a powerful perspective, Pamela. Again, thank you for sharing this with me, sharing this experience with me and with our community, because this can be very confusing, everyone. Um, it is, while I'll just speak to the very important, profound relationship with yourself as the key to everything that you experience in life, the reality is that when something isn't really congruent with you, and it may be a strategy, right? Like saying like, "Oh, I can just be on my own." Sometimes what happens in our world as we're trying to find answers to things is when we don't have them, we will just come up with whatever it is that we can have to get through something. So, kind of like, and this is just my perspective, if somebody can't figure out how to heal an addiction, then we have to have a support group for everybody to tolerate addiction for the rest of their life. But that's not the same as working to evolve our capacity to be in our power and our presence and to make choices that really serve what we want in life. So, what's happened in our culture, and again, thank you, Pamela, for allowing me to really speak to this, which is what's happened in our culture is that there once was a time where we didn't have enough connection to ourselves. So, there's been a wave of people really recommending that, including myself. But at the same time, we're all here for a beautiful collaboration in all kinds of different relationships and a romantic, passionate partnership, a domestic partnership, the variety of things that go along with this. This is the heart's desire, and everyone has it, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go away, and it's not meant to. But when we don't have the capacity to have that kind of relationship and that's causing us pain, there's often a way that we're just managing that by saying, well, I'll just be with myself. And while that can be that's a tremendously important relationship, the good news is that you can have a great relationship with yourself that leads to a great relationship with everyone else in ways that so many people haven't experienced yet. So I'm really excited that Pamela brought this up because, Pamela, that you brought this up because I want to really encourage everybody to stay in the wanting of what they really want,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
And know that you can get there. So on that important note, Pamela, is there, as you went through the program, is there anything or what is it that you would say as you went through the process of the program to kind of give people a little bit of insight of what that experience was like for you in particular, as you went through each stage of it? What was that experience like for you? You know, what was it that was going on? What were you realizing? How would you describe it? You know, and from that point that you came in and the things that you've already shared to how it built over time and what that was like for you.
Well, so at first I wasn't sold on the idea of getting on the phone with 5 or 6 other women and
Right.
kind of talking through my experiences. But throughout that opportunity, I grew to actually rely on those calls to learn what I know I needed to learn and
Yeah.
trust that it was going to come up, whether I brought it up or somebody else brought it up. What I needed to learn and know, understand about myself was going to be embodied in those calls.
Yeah.
And then I just, really gave myself into that opportunity and just started, really opening up boldly, talking, describing, and also providing a little bit of support to the other women by just saying, I'm in there with you. I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
So that experience turned out to be, for me, the most powerful were the calls. The modules I listened to at night, mostly before bed, and then I felt like that would be a way I could just take all the learning
Yep.
in. That was good for me. It worked for me. The coaching calls. I I was in China, actually. I remember I
Yeah.
told you this. I was
Yeah.
in China for a month. And so my connection back was the coaching calls that I had
Yeah.
because we were on day and night different times. So we set up our coaching calls. And I have to say that made me feel really good, like I was touching base with someone at home
Yeah.
who really cared about me
Yeah.
and really wanted to know that even though you're in China for a month, that we're thinking of you. We want to know how you are, what's going on, is there anything you need to talk with us about? So that worked out really, really well. And just as a sideline, I don't know if I should say this, but I'll share with you that I'm
Open
pretty
forum.
very conscientious about how I spend money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when we talked about joining the course and the money that it cost, I was really reluctant. And, I just was very careful about that decision. And now that's like the least important thing to me because the gifts of feeling better about yourself and feeling stronger internally, um, it doesn't even I don't question this
Register.
any
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So as far as the package of what it costs, what you do in terms of calls, modules, coaching calls, all of that to me now was an experience very well worth
Yeah.
having. And so I'm grateful to you and your team, honestly.
Oh, thank you, Pamela. So many great things that you touched on. So I really appreciate what you're saying about the different components of the program that are all designed with a very particular reason in mind. for a really multi-dimensional learning process, transformation process, and as we kind of say, transmission process, and different, and it is important to learn in different ways. And so, yeah, the different aspects with the individual coach and what goes on there is a particular style of training and development. And it's my favorite part of everything as well, the live group training calls and the sacred process that goes on there. And I love, Pamela, I remember this one day when you said, oh, I really get what this experience is, right? There was a way that's how much your heart was clicking in, that you really got what the experience was. And I'm not remember the exact words, but I think you said, I was thinking it was more about a convenience or something like that. And you recognize that importance of the kind of accelerated learning that can happen. And this is really cool for everybody to understand that each individual person is getting the training that is directed to them. And then as that goes along in the process with our live training calls, what's really a way that all the bases are covered is that when it's another person's turn, you're getting the learning that was directed to them, but it's covering all the bases that we might not have even known about you, or we not like they're, the way that you can we have so much we learn about each person, but when we're training each person individually in the presence of others, then we're really covering a gamut of what it is that everybody really needs to learn without needing to know the 50 million things that are important for you to learn. And that all comes through, right, in a powerful way. So Pamela, I love that moment that really came clear to you. And then it started to really elevate your growth as a human being. Yeah.
And the other thing I would like to say is there were a couple calls that, in my mind, were just really difficult, really challenging stuff was going on. And I actually would sit there on the call going, oh my gosh, I am so glad I am not the coach here, because I don't even know how I would, respond. And yet every single time your coaches blew me away with how they handled things, the sensitivity they had around, really tough issues for women. I'm going to cry because, it was very emotional at times. This stuff sometimes is really hard. And your coaches, you yourself, blew me away at times in how you handled everything with, tough stuff.
Pamela, thank you for seeing us. Thank you for really seeing us. And we really, our deep commitment, truly, for Pamela, thank you for really helping other people see this, because our deep commitment truly is that there is not one single thing that anybody has going on or to deal with that we are not 100% ready for and equipped for, and we know exactly how to move people through it. And it's a tremendous gift that I have, that I've been given, that my team shares. And more than anything, we share that commitment to go where we need to go with you, and to carefully walk you through it. And
that was definitely the experience.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I know that's so challenging for people to believe that things can be safe and that people can be safe. And it can also be this beautiful deep experience, and enjoyable and fun, and the range of human emotions, and that we can really have it all, right? That we can really have it all. And of course, you see, that's why I absolutely love what I do, and really it is who I am, and why I'm so committed to everybody being able to join us in the joy. It's really also why I do these interviews, so that people can join the joy and come into the fun. So Pamela, anything else? Well, let me speak to something else you said, which is really, really helpful for everyone as well, is that, there's a lot of conditioning around money. right? There's a lot of fear-based conditioning, and there's a lot of confusion in our general human conditioning that can have us confused and in many ways making good decisions, and sometimes making decisions that feel very responsible, but we may not even recognize that we are getting in the way of something that we're wanting. And so I really know that it's such a sensitive area uh, and it's also a sensitive area for people to value uh, their capacity to be able to live in the exact way that they want to feel and what they want to do and how they want to operate. I also know that can be challenging. So it's a sensitive area when people want something so deeply, and the biggest fears can be financial fears, because it's different, right? It's different to have an all-encompassing transformation that happens rather than a long, extended out, more, I would just say a little less strategic process than most people can experience in general. So I know that's different, but listen to what Pamela's saying when she says that when you are able to feel the way that you want to feel and you know you have the capacity to create that at any moment, there is nothing more valuable than that. And I really encourage everybody to value it, because in the end, that's what it's about for us. It's not about anything else. It's about knowing that people are suffering, and that when they're not able to truly dictate the terms of their own human experience at any moment, that then that's the ultimate suffering. And when you are able to know how to live without suffering, then you have everything. And for all of you to hear Pamela when she says, this is possible for you, right? This is really possible for you. Yeah. Anything you would add to that, Pamela?
Um, Gosh, yeah, I'm not connecting so much in this moment about the money
Yeah.
part of it, but
Right.
I'm certainly connecting to exactly what you said about feeling, sort of released or feeling in more joy because you have this deeper connection with yourself, and you can make the choices you want to make to create whatever you want to create, whatever is your internal. I think you guys use your internal navigation
Yeah.
system,
Yeah.
whatever that is, checking in with that and knowing what that is and moving in that direction is just a really, really pleasant way to experience the day every day.
So, as a follow up to that, Pamela, then what would you say to somebody that feels like they have been through it all? They feel that worthless feeling. They feel like they are what's happened before. That nobody can handle what they need. That nobody can really care about them, and that maybe they're just not they're just not capable of becoming all that they're meant to be. Right? These are people that believe this. They truly want to change, but they absolutely say to us, I'm not sure that I'm even capable of it. So, in knowing that what we do, in knowing what this experience is, what would you say to somebody that believes all of those things?
Well, I would say I was right there with them because I think I started with most of those
Yeah.
beliefs, at least in this specific area of my life, which, I didn't think, I really thought I was stuck with a pattern of behavior and it was just a character flaw and I wasn't capable of really overturning it. And I just had to trust that you were right when you said, I can 100% help you. And I felt that. And, so by feeling that, I just took a risk, made a decision to go forward, even though I had done and was already in another program. And I've done a lot of programs and been on a spiritual journey for many, many years. Um, yeah, I would say to them, take a chance on this because it worked. It worked for me. It works. When I say it worked, I mean that, the methodology that underlies what you're doing really does put into place the capacity to, overturn or change whatever pattern of behavior you're trying to overcome. So
Yeah,
I would
thank
say
you.
take a chance on it.
So, as we'll get close to wrapping up here, Pamela. So, one of the things I'm not going to ask this because you mentioned this to me recently, and I always trust my own navigation system, and I've gotten a sense at different points in my life that people can feel intimidated by me. And I'm very, very passionate, very intentional human being, and I know that I get the sense at times that that can be it can be intimidating for people. So, what would you say about that, Pamela, and about you mentioned to me that you felt that there was something really different, and this is not a compliment seeking mission. It's really for everybody else to understand what that is, because it also helped me to understand what that is. What would you say that is? About, when people thinking it might be scary, what Dr. T is going to help me, but that's going to be scary, you know.
Well, I think what I would say is this, that you know we're all talking nowadays over computers and Skype and all of that, Zoom. We're not sitting in the same room. It's sometimes difficult to have good eye
Yeah.
contact. It's there's a lot that's to be desired as far as the technological age and how you live in LA and I live in Denver and on and on.
Yeah.
But I do know this: every phone call, every conversation you and I have had, every time I reached out to you, even when we weren't scheduled, there is a clear um, energy of love and care, and it's obvious. I guess I want to say I feel it. I know you care about me, even though I've never sat with you in the same
Yeah.
room. I know you want for me exactly, what you're offering in your program, which is just a clear sense of who I am and my, leaning on my navigation system and feeling powerful and strong. I know that because of every interaction you and I have had, and that's what I would say to anybody who would ask. There's a real feeling of genuine, love and desire for us to be whole, for all your clients to be whole.
Yeah. Wow, thank you, Pamela, and I love you too. I do. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what this process is all about. It's a very love-driven um, purpose for me and my team. And Pamela, I just again want to thank you for the beautiful gift of you coming into my life. I remember when you were in China, I was like, when is she coming back? I cannot wait to continue on this journey with her, week by week by week. And again, I don't know if there are accurate words to say what you mean to me other than I absolutely love you. I absolutely appreciate you. You are one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me in my life. And you just mean the world to me. And thank you for serving this community with your beautiful story and your beautiful presence.
Oh, you are sweet. Thank you so much. And I'm right back at you because I feel the same way, very connected, very supported, by you. And I want everybody to know that that's possible. So,
Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and wrap our interview. And so, everyone, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation with Pamela that Pamela and I have gotten to share today, and gotten some insight and some sense of what's possible. And know that we both wish for you that you're able to live your full potential and whatever that means to you, and enjoy each day of your life and each moment that is such a tremendous gift to you. And thank you for your time and attention. And know that if you have any questions, if you want to have a conversation, that myself and my team, that we're open and available just to look at what it is that you're experiencing, what it is that you would like things to, how you would like things to be different, and to just show you what that can look like, and just something that's a very, very um, exploratory experience that, if you are interested in doing that, we would really love to give our support and guidance to you. And if you want to do that, all you have to do is go to the link that I'm going to put at the bottom of this interview, which is drtracy.net, and you can book a call and you can see what is possible from there. Thank you very much, and everybody have a great rest of the week living your full potential. Take care.